Welcome to That's Term Good. I'm Janelle Ball, and I'm excited to bring you thought-provoking conversations about biologics, specialty medications, treatments, and so much more. I'll be chatting with some amazing guests about access, affordability, and advocacy. You're really going to enjoy this show. Welcome to That's Term Good. Today, my guest is Jawan Elliott. Jawan is an HS advocate, and I'm so excited to chat with you, Jawan. So welcome to the show, and thank you for joining me.
Janelle, thank you for having me here. It's a blessing to be able to come on and just share my story and talk to somebody who cares to
Yeah,
see us grow and get through these conditions. So thank you for doing what you do.
yeah, absolutely. So before we dive into HS, tell me something random about you that people would never guess.
See, I don't want to think too long on this, but while I'm thinking about it, so I'm a drummer.
Okay.
I come from a background of being a band nerd, as people would call it. And that's something that I haven't been into in a long time. Like, music is forever, but that's one of those things I wanted to pick back up in the new year, learning to drum again or get my chops back is what we call it. So I recently got a drum pad and been doing a little bit of work. So that's something random.
Nice. I
Yeah.
saw I saw that little guitar in the background there. I was going to ask you about that.
Okay, okay. So that's my buddy's guitar.
Okay.
But he did say that he's learning it as well, and, he was like, "Man, we could learn together."
Nice.
We just try to figure out stuff to do,
Mhm.
and, it's been pretty cool, and like I said, music is one of those things that's it's forever, so
Yeah.
I wanna learn a few instruments, a few more instruments outside of drumming, so I think
Yeah.
that's gonna be the next thing.
Okay. That's good. Hey, music is it can be so relaxing. There's so many different ways, different types of music genre. What's your favorite genre?
I'm a '90s R&B guy for sure.
Nice.
'90s R&B,
Mhm.
it's kinda where I grew up, and, but I like a lot of things. I'm a live music person, so
Yeah.
I don't really care who's playing. I just like the atmosphere. I like to go to concerts and festivals, and so,
Okay.
I got a wide variety of music that I listen to. I'm a terrible DJ, I'll say that, 'cause you just don't know what's coming. You
Right.
know, go from hip hop to Tim McGraw real quick, like,
Mhm.
you never know.
I like it. That's good though. It's good to have a variety.
Yeah.
There's so many really good artists. Do you what is it? Do you watch that show The Voice?
Voice, I won't say that I watch it,
Yeah.
I'm familiar with it, and actually, I'm from Mississippi, so I've seen a few people on
Mhm.
there, and like I said, I don't watch a lot of TV
Okay.
at all, so different shows and things like that, if I don't
Mhm.
see about it on social media or something like that, I probably didn't watch it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
That's all
do
right.
better, though. I can't really focus, I'm scatterbrained, so just
Mhm.
sitting down watching the TV, it's hard for me,
Mhm.
'cause if the wind blows, I'm going in this direction. I forgot what I'm watching and all of that, so
That's all right. So that's exciting. I love music. I love all different types of genres and I listen to all different kind of stuff, but what is the song that best describes your life right now?
ooh, it kinda it's kinda crazy that you asked that. I was literally making a playlist about feel-good songs,
Mm,
and, something that jumped out to me was "When Somebody Loves You Back," Eddie Pendergrass.
yeah, that's a good one.
That's just a feel-good song. You wake up in the
Mhm.
morning, that's playing, it's just like, man, I don't know how you can feel bad while that song is playing.
Right.
Uh,
That's
I think
good. I think everybody's gonna start adding that to their playlist and listen to that. That's a
yeah,
good one.
but I don't know, something that kinda resonates with me right now, song I recently heard, it's by Fredo Bang, and it's called "Won't Be Lonely," and, that's something that resonates because I recently found community in dealing with hidradenitis, and, that song just lets you know you're not alone, in this struggle, and
Yeah.
when I found community, that was the exact feeling that I got.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me a little bit about
your story dealing with HS, you found out you had it when you were 8?
Well, that's when I started dealing with it, and that was my when I had my first abscess or flare up.
Mhm,
Of course, I didn't get a name for it for a long time after that. But that was when I first started dealing with it. I had an abscess on my stomach, and I didn't really say much about it in the beginning. I noticed it, but it wasn't really, painful to the point of, hey, this is, unordinary. Let me go get it checked on. Of course, I'm a kid too. So, but after, a few days, it started to get real painful. It started to grow. And the friction from my waistline on my pants caused a lot of irritation. So I ended up, having to tell somebody. And that somebody was my grandmother. My grandmother, that's my girl. That's like my bonus mom for sure. So she took me to the nearest hospital, small town Mississippi hospital, and that was one of the worst experiences of my life. It's forever carved into my memory. I was taken there and I was given an IND, and when they lanced it, it was just like, there was no numbing of the area. It was really basically just cut open and squeezed, like just squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. And I'm 8 years old. I'm just, screaming to the top of my lungs. It was just a really painful experience. And I haven't gotten a lancing or IND since then. And I
mhm,
won't do it again just because of that experience. But that's when it started. That's when it got real.
mm,
Over time, I started to get more abscesses, and I started to get them in areas that weren't so pleasant to talk about at the time. So I just hid it. There was no real instruction or knowledge of how to treat what was going on at the time. So I was just kind of winging it, suffering in silence, not really talking to my family about it anymore because, I mean, we went to the hospital and it's just like, if the doctors don't know, like, where do I go
right,
from here? You know,
right.
I didn't know of a dermatologist at the time. I didn't even know that terminology or that type of doctor existed. So it was a lot of just going to, primary care clinics, being prescribed every antibiotic that you could think of, and still just going through it, but trying to look like I was normal or like look like I wasn't dealing with anything.
That's rough, especially at that young of an age, not necessarily knowing what's going on. I mean, I can't even imagine. So, did it make you kinda stand off? Did it change your personality, how you interacted with your friends?
Well, I will, in a sense, it did. I
Mhm,
wasn't talking to anybody about these type of things. If I'm
mhm,
flaring up in my groin area or my backside, this is when I first started playing sports. I actually started playing basketball with the rec teams and things like that when I was 8 years old, same year. And I don't know, I guess it got to a point where I was just kind of numb to the pain. Like I
mm,
knew I had something going on, but I fought through it because I wanted to be like everybody else. I wanted to play ball with my friends. I wanted to play football, play basketball, play baseball. And when a few years later, I was in a band. So I wanted to do all of these things, and I hid it the best I could. Luckily, I wasn't draining as much, so I didn't have to worry about messed up clothes and people seeing it and things like that. It was just painful abscesses that I was dealing with,
mm,
making it hard for me to sit down or making it hard for me to do certain motions and movements. But like I said, I just fought through it because what else can you do? Nobody has answers for me. I don't even know and these are, the dial up internet days. So,
mhm,
nobody's just running to Google
right,
to self-diagnose at that point. So, yeah, it was pretty rough. Like I said, I didn't tell my friends or anything like that. That just wasn't something I wanted to talk about.
mhm,
I wasn't even comfortable enough to talk to a doctor about it
mm,
fully because, I would talk to a doctor about my flare up in my stomach, on my stomach. But it was a thing of, I may have been flaring up in my groin area too, but I don't want to talk about that. So I'm hoping that whatever they give me for the flare on my stomach is going to help those areas too,
Right.
which I know now that's definitely not always the case.
So now looking back, what would you tell your 8, 9, 10-year-old self?
I think I would, first of all, I would tell my 8-year-old self that this is not your fault. You didn't do this to yourself. It's not because you're not clean. My mama didn't play about being clean. Like that was never a thing that anybody could throw at me. But it was, I would say, you didn't do this to yourself, man.
Mhm.
And don't be afraid to talk to people about the rain. You
Yeah.
know, some, we love to glorify the sunshine and, the good things and positive things in our lives. But I think there should be more light shed on the darker situations to help people get out of those situations.
Yeah.
So that's what I would tell myself.
Yeah. You made a point too about, back then there wasn't the internet where you could just Google stuff and, look things up. Now we've got so much information at our fingertips, but at the
Mhm.
same time, there's still, I feel like so many people that don't want to share that because we do see we're in this age now where, like you said, everything is glorified on social media and you always look at the good. You don't see what people are struggling with and behind the scenes.
Right.
So it makes you not want to talk about those things that you're struggling with. And I
Mhm.
think that's what makes it hard. But now when there is that advocacy, I think that kind of helps to shed some of that light. But at the same time, it's sad that then there wasn't as much support and information out there, even for the doctors,
Right,
not
right.
knowing, not having as many clinical trials or medications available and just education for them to be able to share to people that are struggling and dealing with these conditions. That does blow my mind though.
Yeah,
That's the sad part. It's like you go into a hospital and you have this, vision that you're thinking, okay, I'm going to a doctor, they're going to be able to help me.
right.
And you come out of it being scarred for life. Like that's no way, that's no way for
Yeah.
anybody.
It took me a long time. I say after I got a name for it and things like that, it took me a while to get to a point just realizing that, hey, doctors and dermatologists, they're human too,
Mhm. Right.
and HS is just one condition that I wish they had all the information for. But the thing is, they have to learn so many things themselves, and it's not their fault. A lot of doctors, they go off of patient provided information to help them, help you find a solution.
Mhm.
So one thing I would change about, how I handle going through my journey is I would share everything from
Mhm.
the beginning because the more information I give you, the more likely you are to find a solution for me.
Right. Yeah,
So,
that's true. I love that. Not everybody does that. I feel like even just within my role of the access side, trying to get as much information as possible. Most of the time you go to the doctor, you're only giving the information that they're asking you those questions for. So it's
right.
not like, oh, well, you know what? This is actually affecting my life. This is actually affecting my work. And I'm not able to do this because of this condition. Or um, if we don't give that information to our providers, they're not going to know. And if they don't think to ask those questions, maybe it's a busy day. Like you said, they're human as well. And they may not gather that information. And that's one of the things that, I'm looking at when I'm trying to do a prior authorization because insurance is asking these questions. They want to know, why is this
Mhm.
medicine medically necessary? Which is frustrating. Like, I feel like we shouldn't
Yeah,
have to do that. But at the same time, it's like, I need to get as much information and details on how it does affect your quality of life to be able to
right.
tell the insurance why you need this medication, which sounds dumb, but at the same time, those are all the details that we need so that
Hey,
we can
that's
help.
necessary.
Yeah, it is. It's so necessary. So there was a turning point in 2023 that you said you woke up one day thinking you were going to work. what happened?
So August of 2023 was, like I said, I thought I was getting ready to go to work. But when I woke up that morning to get ready for my meeting, I woke up and I tried to sit up. And when I tried to sit up, I had an abscess on my stomach that was so big and so inflamed that the pressure wouldn't allow me to sit up without me feeling like it was going to explode. I called my doctor. I mean, actually, I called my boss first and I said, "Hey, man, I'm having a flare up and it's really bad." And it was so bad to the point that I felt comfortable sending my boss pictures of it because I don't want you to think I'm just trying to get out of work. And I had a really good boss at the time, and we talked about my HS, and he actually, he did his own research on it, just so he could, bring me comfort during these times if I was working. And if I was flaring up, he got to the point where he said, he'll see me and he'll be like, "Man, you're not feeling so good today, are you?" So we were close enough to have these discussions, and that was something that I've never done before.
Yeah.
Talk Tell my employer that I deal with this condition because I always felt like, once I say I deal with something like this, I may not get the job, or I may, and so called him. He told me like, "Hey, man, take a day off or do what you need to do, take care of yourself." And one day taking off turned into 2 days, which turned into a week, which led into FMLA. And then, I started seeing doctors. I went to my primary care physician to begin with. And, things just, it was just like a chain reaction of things happen. I had the HS flare up, but then it went to, what was it? I started having pain when I walked. And that led into me dealing with gout. So I couldn't walk for about a month and a half. I got a boot, and that's just something you don't think about. I mean, as a 30-year-old, you're not really thinking about dealing with gout. And just led to a chain reaction of so many things. And I was just wondering, hey, is this my medicine that I'm taking, or is it I'm not taking something that I should be? I just It was just a lot that was going on. I started dealing with syncope, and this is where my blood pressure would drop really low and I would faint. And there was just so many things going on besides HS, and I didn't know if it was the inflammation that was leading to it. But during this time, I'm just trying to figure it out. So it went from FMLA to short-term disability. My job was, they were behind me. Like my boss was making sure that I had everything I need, paperwork turned in. I'm going to see my doctors in Jackson, and which is my dermatologist and my surgeon. I had just become their patient in July, and I was just trying to figure it out. But I was in a lot of pain while this stuff was going on. I started to lose a lot of weight. I had gotten down to the smallest I had ever been. So I was just like, man, this is something serious. So short term disability led into long term, not knowing if I was going to be able to go back to work. And we were talking about, the prior authorizations and things like that. The medication that my dermatologist recommended, it kept being denied, 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 denied. And they wanted me to try out this before you try that. All right, we're
Mhm.
going to take everything it was making it worse. When the whole time my dermatologist was like, "Hey, this is what he needs. This is what we want to give him," but they kept getting pushback. And that's actually when I learned more about how the doctors and derms are, they don't have the final word, in what's given. That's when I learned that the insurance companies have the power, and 9 times out of 10, they don't even know about the condition. They just say,
Right.
"Hey, we're gonna approve or deny it at the push of
Right.
this button." But that's what I was going through at that time, having to deal with the step therapy side of things. And I'm just looking at myself get worse day to day.
Mhm.
So yeah, that led into long-term disability overall and social security disability and not being able to return to my job.
Yeah. How did that make you feel? And how was your family during that time? Do you feel like they were learning more about it? Were supportive and understood what was going
Yeah,
on?
my family started to learn more about the condition because it was always something that I wore well, I'll just
Mhm.
say. So they didn't know how much pain I was dealing with, and until they started to see me. They saw me losing all of this weight. They saw me in a boot when I was dealing with the gout. They saw me having to go to these doctor's appointments and things like that, like more than I normally would have.
Mhm.
And so it definitely brought more concern and more empathy, compassion, and just trying to understand. And during this time, it got really rough on me, and I had to move back in with my mother. Shout out to my mom. She was like the best nurse that I could have had. She really took the time to bring that nurturing that I needed from a mother. That's the kind of love you can only get from your mother. And that's how I felt like a little boy again, you know. But it was definitely a struggle for her to see me like that.
Yeah.
But she just wanted to help in any way. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that I had my family to be there for me. And also my best friends, they showed up big time. You know, they were there for the things that I needed that I didn't even know I needed. So shout out to them too. Just everybody.
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by love and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. That I feel like that is it's so important when you're going through anything is to be able to have that base, that home base, the support to be able to, help push you through. I think,
Mhm.
when you don't have that, it's even harder. You don't
Yeah,
know who to
sure.
turn to, who to listen to, that's gonna listen to your concerns and even just let you vent sometimes. There's some times where you just need to get it out and yell and,
Yeah,
and talk it
yeah.
out and be mad and frustrated because, anybody would be frustrated with the insurance, that even the
Oof.
biologic coordinators, we get mad, we
Yeah.
working with, trying to get these prior authorizations and we see what the insurance is doing and we take that on as our own. That's no, this is
Mhm.
my person. This is my patient that you're
Yeah, like
you're denying. Why? No, that absolutely not. This is why they need this medication. But and that's why I love that role because we're helping to fight for our patients, and it's frustrating to see how insurance really does try to dictate and go over the provider's head. Like they don't
yeah.
see you. They see a name. They see that you're paying your premium, your insurance, or whatever,
Right.
they're not looking at you as a person, and it's so unfortunate the way that things are with our insurance right now, and, I'm really hoping that there's gonna be better reform with insurance, but until then, all we can do is continue to get all of the facts and document as much as we can and, know that there are people that are working hard to try to help
Mhm.
patients and really, be behind you 100% when it comes to getting access to the medications that are going to make a huge impact on your life, on your day to day. I think that that's so important. When did you actually start seeing a dermatologist? Who referred you, or did you know, like, I need to go see a dermatologist for this?
Okay, so I've seen a few dermatologists over the years. I don't remember the exact moment where I went
Hmm.
to the first one, but I feel like I'm pretty sure it was in my hometown. And, that's when I learned, hey, they know more about skin conditions and things like that. So I just felt like that was the route to go, even though I didn't get a lot of information. And I feel
Yeah.
like I saw my first dermatologist when I was maybe around 15, 16 in that area because they just started to spread a little bit more to different areas. Before that, I just, they were saying things like, hey, staph infection was a big thing to say, hey, this may be it,
Hmm.
clean, clean more or whatever. But that's kind of all I got. But then I started seeing dermatologists and I was prescribed, antibiotics that, were kind of like a Band-Aid, but they weren't getting to the root cause of it. I still didn't have a name for it. But like I said, I think around 15 or 16, first saw a dermatologist, but then I was just seeking a more knowledgeable dermatologist after that.
Mhm.
But as far as my current dermatologist and surgeon, hands down the best care I've ever received. And I was referred to them by someone that I went to college with. Random, we were Facebook friends. You know how you have Facebook friends and you
Mhm.
may not necessarily know how y'all became friends, but
Yeah.
we went to college together and I saw a post where she was saying like, "Hey, I just had surgery. My life has changed. I'm feeling better. Thank y'all for the prayers." And I'm just like, I didn't know what she was dealing with at the time, but I sent a message and I was like, "Hey, I'm glad doing better. Best wishes on your journey as you continue to go." And I was just like, I deal with the chronic illness as well. And we started talking about the conditions. And then she was like, "Wait a minute, what do you deal with?" And I was like, "I deal with HS." She was like, "I deal with HS too." And so we started a friendship and we just started talking. Like she was the first person that I ever felt like I could really talk to about what I deal with
Mhm.
and somebody to actually understand. Shout out to my girl Lex. HS Warrior, she really encouraged me to, make a better life for myself with dealing with this condition. She also referred me to my current dermatologist and surgeon.
Mm.
So that was a true blessing, and I'm definitely thankful for her.
Yeah. That makes such a difference too when you can actually have a conversation with somebody that knows what you're going through and that has experienced the same as well.
Yeah, yeah. That was just really cool, and as I continue to share my story and advocate, um, there's so many people that deal with this condition that I've been knowing for years,
Mhm.
but I wouldn't have known that we were all fighting that same battle if I
Yeah.
didn't share my story or talk about it because then they were like, "Hey, I've been suffering in silence too."
Did that surprise
So
you? How many
oh
people
yeah.
were dealing with that?
Yeah, it was very surprising. I mean, like people that I've known for years and years and people that we were hanging out together,
Mhm.
and both struggling at the same time. Had nobody to talk to, but now it's just like, man, dude, I didn't even know,
Mhm.
this was going on, but I'm glad we're talking about it now.
Yeah.
I'm not so big on dwelling on, what could have been, but I'm thankful for right now for sure.
What point did you decide, "Hey, I just wanna go all out and advocate and, you know, put this information out there and talk about what I'm dealing with?" Because I mean, I feel like that had to be a good turning point to be able to say, "Okay, I'm gonna go from not talking about it as much, maybe meeting a few people that actually have this, and now I wanna advocate for everyone and just
Yeah.
put it out there."
I'll say I think I had two, well, I'll say three. So three instances or three things that made me want to advocate. One is when I had to apply for disability, when I had to leave my job. I'm just feeling like, being in that situation, sometimes you feel like you're not contributing to society. You feel alone, like you're at home and feel like nothing to do. Everybody's at work. You gotta wait till, it's just a lot of time to think
Mhm.
and just drown in your sorrows for yourself. And I didn't want that to happen. Two, my little sister was diagnosed recently. And before that, I didn't know anybody else in my family that deals with HS or had dealt with HS. So it's just been me my whole life, dealing with all of this pain and the things that I go through. But I want to make sure that she doesn't see half of the things that I've seen in dealing with this condition. Um, it really it really hurt me to know that she was diagnosed with it. But at the same time, I'm thankful that I have the knowledge that I have. I'm thankful that I have community now that, she can go to if she wants to. We have way more resources. We have way more treatments. So I was actually, it was tough to learn that she was diagnosed, but I was comforted because I know she gonna be all right, and we're gonna make sure that.
Yeah.
And the last thing, I had 2 surgeries last year, and after my 2nd surgery, there was a freak accident 2 days after. Um, I was at home. So with my surgeries, I normally go back and stay with my mom, and my mom helps me with wound dressing and everything. And, after my first surgery, I kinda got the hang of things and figuring out how to do it, and, you know so I was like, when I got out of the hospital for the 2nd surgery, I told my mom, I was like, "Imma stay here tonight, but Imma go on home to my space, Imma be okay."
Mhm.
And, when I got home, I did one dressing change, everything was good. I was like, "Alright, I can stay here. I don't have to go back to my mom's," which I'm thankful for being able to have that door open to me to go there,
Right.
but I just like my own space.
Mhm.
So I wanted to come to my house, but, after my 2nd dressing change, something felt different. I was in the shower, and I was trying to get the gauze to loosen up so I can take it off and change it, and, this time it got stuck. So I called my surgeon, and she was like, "Well, you're gonna have to clean it. You're gonna have to get it off." And when I pulled the gauze off, I busted an artery. I busted an artery in my underarm, and I was bleeding out. I was at home by myself. I live in a really small town in Mississippi, so I knew it was gonna take a while for the ambulance to get here. And that was I feel like my life flashed before me because there was just, so much blood, so much pain. And it was just like, I don't want to, I don't want to leave here like this. So
Mhm.
I'm waiting on the paramedics to get here. And I don't know at the time that this is an artery that's busted. I just know that this is a lot of blood, so this can't be normal. And with the surgery, it was a wide excision surgery, so it was left open to heal. So there was just a lot of blood. Just, oh man. Long story short, I'll say that when I made it through that situation, it was just like, man, I got to talk to somebody about this. Like,
Mhm.
I actually made a post about that situation happening because I had to get rushed to the hospital 2 hours away.
Wow.
Yeah, that's another thing. My dermatologist and my surgeon are 2 hours away from me, in which the care and treatment is so good there. I don't care if they move across the ocean, I will drive over there to,
Mhm.
you know, be taken care of. But it's just a lot, to go through all of those things. And, with my sister being diagnosed right before that, I was just like, man, I can't let her go through this. So
Right.
I have to gain as much knowledge as possible to keep this from happening to her, also keep it from happening to me again. I
Mhm.
want to learn as much as I can. I want to connect with as many people as I can because this is not a one size fit all condition. So, your solution may be great for you, or my solution may be great for me and it may not be good for her, but I know this person over here, like, hey, what did you do when you were dealing with this situation? I want to share this with my sister. I want to share this with one of my peers because we all need that. We all have to learn from each other and
Mhm.
just see how we can conquer this thing together because I know I can't do it by myself. I've been trying for years, you
Yeah.
know, but having people to talk to about it and just share my story, share my journey in hopes that it may help somebody else on their journey, those are the things that encourage me to just keep going. Because once I started sharing, I never planned this. I never thought that I would talk about this so openly.
Mhm.
But having that encouragement of saying, hey man, your post just helped me get through this flare up. I'm glad you recommended this product. I'm glad you recommended this type of gauze. Like, man, this is so much better for me. When I get that type of confirmation from people, it fuels my fire to keep, learning what I can so I can pour it back into the community. Cause these are the things that I wish somebody would have been able to tell me 20 years ago when
Yeah.
I was dealing with this. So that's all I'm doing. I'm sharing the things that I wish somebody would have been able to share with.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, it's so needed, and it's good to hear that, somebody from experience versus yes, it's nice to get information from people that, are huge advocates, but at the same time, it's not the same as someone who is going through it and experienced it to be able to share their story and to say, "Okay, this is what I went through and this is how I dealt with this." And yes, it may not be the right route for you, but at least I understand what you're going through and I can kind of point you in that general
Yeah.
direction of,
At least we have options
mhm.
now. Like we
Yeah.
phew,
And like you
I
said, that support too, if you're reaching out, meeting somebody, your friend that you went to college with that you had no idea until you brought that conversation up, now it's
mhm.
probably a relief for her even to know like, wow, okay, I'm not the only one. There's other
Yeah,
people that are dealing with this too. And being able to share your story is so bold and powerful, I think, and commendable too, because it's not easy to share something that you've been struggling with. And, not everybody really has the guts really to even share. So it's so powerful for you to be able to do that and even helping your sister along the way. Family, that's huge. If
yeah.
it was my family too, I don't know. There would be so many emotions there and knowing, especially being an older brother, I'm sure you're probably protective
Mhm.
and want to make sure, like there's got probably some anger that was in there, like, "What? Really? But all right, I got you. I know
Yeah, I
what you need to
got you.
do." And yeah,
I
and
try not
that's
to
huge.
I try not to worry her too much. Like I
Uh-huh.
try not to just because I want to call every day. "Hey, yo, how you feeling today? Like you flaring up? You good?" Like I
Mhm.
want to have these conversations every single day because I need to know that your mental is good. Like I need to
Right.
know, on
Yeah.
top of the physical. I know you deal with a lot of pain, but I need to know your mental is right too.
Yeah.
But she's a young adult,
Mhm.
and I wanna give her a space to, if she, because I know what it's like. I didn't
Mhm.
wanna talk about it when I was young, like, granted that it's different having somebody who actually understands and know. Like, I
Mhm.
would've probably been more open to talk to those people, but I didn't have that. So, I'm thinking about it in a sense of, "Hey, I know I didn't like to talk about it then, so I'm not gonna pressure her to talk about it." And I feel like if it's something that's going on where she needs me to, she'll call me. I'll just say
Yeah.
it like that. She'll call me, she'll let me know, and I try to give her that respect. But
Mhm.
I need her to know that if something really going on, you need to call me, girl. Like
Right.
that's yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
yeah. She's handling it well though, and I'm happy to see her just continue to grow and not let this hold her back.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing is knowing, okay, I want you to know you've got somebody in your corner and I don't want you to ever feel like you don't and that you can't reach out when you need help. That's the biggest thing.
That's
It's
it.
awesome.
That's what I talk to her about. I'm just like, look, I'm here. If you need me, I'm here when you don't need me. But
Mhm.
just know I'm here.
Yeah, I love that. So, what is next for you in your advocacy journey? I see you've done like some panels, that's which is so exciting. Gone. I know there's some conferences, but you're part of is it HS Connect?
HS Connect.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that and what this journey, like what direction you feel this journey is leading you in.
Okay. So shout out to HS Connect on the HS Brotherhood. They actually gave me my first shot at being around the community. It started this past year in June of 2025. There was the HS Brotherhood podcast launch. They had a launch party in Detroit. And Parrish is, man, one of my best friends now. Paris and Joey, shout out to the HS Brotherhood. They started the HS Brotherhood podcast to have men speak up about dealing with HS. A lot of times men just don't talk about what we go through.
Mhm.
And they created a space for men with HS to feel comfortable talking about the condition and dealing with the condition and also just learning from each other. And I had been seeing them promoted, and Parrish and I had been talking. I had been watching him for a few years. He was one of those guys that were in the HS support groups that would come in and he was rapping about HS, rapping about dealing with HS. He was an artist, and everything I heard him talk about over the years, like, man, I feel that. Like, man, that's dope. Like, it's really cool to see it.
Mhm.
And I saw him, a few years, before this, but more recently we started to connect and just talk about what we were dealing with because he saw when I posted about my experience after surgery and things like that. So we just connected and started talking. And when they were getting ready to launch the podcast at this event, I reached out to him and I was like, yo, man, I wish you guys well, with the podcast launch. I wish I could make it. And he reached back out and he was like, man, why can't you, I don't mean to get in your business, but why can't you make it? And I was just straight up with him. I was like, man, I'm on disability, man. So I'm not able to just get up and go when I want,
Mhm,
whether it be for funds, whether it be because of funds or flaring. But he was like, man, I've been seeing your content and man, I feel like you're a really good dude and you doing what's right for the community, man. So just give me a second. I'm gonna reach back out to you. And when he reached back out to me, he was like, man, I reached out to HS Connect and they wanted to see if you'd be interested in getting a travel scholarship to come to the event. And I was like, man, of course, you know what I mean? Like that was just like that was the start of really my life changing in dealing with HS. I really saw this condition in a new light when I went to that event, when I met the crew, when I met all of the other HS warriors there. It was something that I never thought I would see. It was something that was just I could talk about that all day. I'll say that.
mhm.
But it was just a life changing moment. I was also able to go to two HS events that weekend. I said,
Yeah, I was there.
you were there?
Yeah, I was there. That was a
Okay,
good one.
yeah. That was the first event that I ever went to, like
Really?
seeing other HS patients. Like when I
Mhm,
walked in that building, it was just like a feeling of calm. I said it before, it was like a feeling of calm that came over my body as
mhm.
soon as I walked in the building.
Yeah.
And when those doors open, it opened up a different side of me that I didn't know. I never
Mhm.
never envisioned being an advocate for HS in my
Yeah.
life. I never thought about sharing my story to help other people. Like I said, it's just been a thing that I've always felt
Mhm.
alone in. And, I could speak for so many of us when I say that. I'll say I really came out of the darkness. At least I peeped out a little bit. I still have my struggles. I'm still a patient. I
Yeah.
still deal with everyday flare-ups like other people. I don't ever want anybody to feel like I just got it all figured out because I'm advocating. Like, now I'm still in the fight with
Mhm.
y'all. Like,
Right.
but those things really changed my life and brought a new road on this journey for me.
Mhm.
So yeah, HS Connect. Eve, and since then, we've been traveling. I've done a few panels. We've worked with a few different groups. Like I just love being able to spread awareness for HS and chronic illness in general. A
Right.
lot of us share so many different things, like whether it be, medication. We may have different conditions, but we're treated
Mhm.
with some of the same medications. We have some of the same daily troubles dealing with pain and fatigue and mental health issues, just overall things that are just draining us and we're just trying to stay afloat. So I got a different heart for everybody that deals with anything, chronic
Right.
illness. And like, that's just, I don't know. I love people. Like, that's my real passion in life. I love
Mhm.
people. I love making connections, but being able to make connections in the chronic illness space is just different.
Mhm.
And it's something that, we understand with each other. We have this connection already without even, really knowing each other. We're already
Right.
connected. So I just think it's a beautiful thing that, more and more people are coming together and now we can say, hey, I'm not alone in this. And
Yeah, that's so good. I think that is it's so important to be able to have that community and know that it's there. When I went to Austin, I was that was my first time going to a more of a patient focused conference.
yeah,
I've always been to other conferences within the derm space, just talking about access and that kind of thing. But it really just opened my eyes and it was so cool to see in a way, I kind of felt a little bit out of place. I'm like, okay, I'm not struggling with the condition, so I don't want to come off like I know, I know about how it feels. I want to be able to be an advocate without even understanding fully what you're going
Yeah.
through, but being able to see it on a different side of things. And, so for a minute, I kind of felt like I'm like, I don't know if I really belong here, but at the same time, I was so
Nah,
inspired.
it's
It's
all
yeah.
it's all necessary. Just knowing that that's
Mhm.
just dope to me that you went and you don't deal with the condition. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? That all the support matters. Like
Yeah.
my best friend, he learns about HS. He went to HS Empower with me in Nashville. And
Mm.
he was just like, dude, I know I don't deal with HS, but man, I learned so much. Like, man,
Yeah.
y'all, that community is dope. Like he
Mhm.
cool with everybody. Like, but they look at him like, dude, we know you wish you had HS, don't you? Like, and that's the thing though. But it's cool
Mhm.
to just that's what we want. We want
Right.
to, people to care. A
Yeah.
lot of that's just thank you for doing that. I just want to say thank you because I feel like, I'm more attentive to what's going on with, the other chronic illness communities. Like I'm very open to learning more about what people
Mhm.
deal with because, when I'm going through it, I want people to bring me comfort if necessary, or if that's
Right.
what's needed. But I want to be able to be somebody else's comfort too. You don't have to deal with what I deal with for me to care about
Right.
what you're going through.
Yeah.
And I think that, that type of empathy and compassion that just brings us closer together in the
Mhm.
world in general.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good.
I love when people want to learn about HS. And like I
Mhm.
said, I like to learn about other things too, because I wanna get
Yeah.
through these things.
Right. That's true.
I got off topic. I'm sorry. You asked me, what I've been doing and what's next, and I just got to run in my mouth. I'm
It's
sorry.
okay.
But yeah, so we've done it, like I said, done a few panels and we launched the largest patient-led campaign in history on Times Square. I'm still kinda in that
What?
moment, I love that. We did a runway show on Times Square
Mm. Wow.
showing all of our scars and, just letting loose on that pain that we've been dealing with and not
Mhm.
being ashamed of it, letting people know like, "Hey, we see you, we get you, we got you." Like, it was just a crazy moment. I don't know if you've seen any of the clips on my
I think I
page.
saw something about that.
Yeah,
I didn't know exactly what it was, but okay.
yeah,
That's cool.
largest patient-led campaign in history on
Wow.
pretty much the world's biggest stage, Times Square. Like, shout out to HS Connect, man,
Yeah.
Insight and UCB, Novartis, man, y'all did an amazing job putting that together. It felt really good to, be in that space with the Warriors and do it for the Warriors. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I think there's a lot more coming. There'll be a lot more things that bring visibility to the HS world and
Mhm.
more knowledge is being shared, more treatments are coming up. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm excited about all of it. Like whatever's coming, I'm not a real big plan of some of these things. I don't know they're coming, but look, I'm
Mhm.
gonna be ready when it gets here. I'm just happy to see all the information being spread and more people getting help.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's so good. So, I was going to ask you a last question. What would you say to somebody that is new, starting out? Maybe they just diagnosed, maybe they haven't been diagnosed and they're struggling. What would you say to them and how should they get connected and find out, find a network, a community?
I would say to begin with, everybody's not so fond of just telling everybody what they're dealing with. Um, you got so many resources in the palm of your hand. If you got a cell phone, get into some of these support groups. Just type in HS. It don't matter what platform you on,
Mhm.
from Facebook to Instagram, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just get on some of these platforms and just be nosy. Like, get in the conversation, in the know. You don't, I started, when I started looking up information about HS, I would be in these support groups. I wouldn't say a thing, but I was reading and I was learning. And so, I wasn't comfortable talking about what I was dealing with, but I was thankful that that there were people who were already comfortable
Mhm.
talking about it or they weren't afraid to just ask. And so I would say I would encourage people to do that. Just be nosy. Know that this is not a one size fit all type condition, and you have to learn your body. You have to learn your body to the core. You have to pay attention to everything that's going on, from what you eat to your environment to how your feelings, how you know, your emotions. All of these things can either trigger HS or keep you from flaring up, like knowing about these things and knowing how they affect you. Not everyone has the same triggers. So don't get, bent out of shape or caught up because, hey, this worked for my friend, but it didn't work for me. Keep going. Be encouraged, and be encouraged that there is more knowledge out there. There are more resources. There are more people that are familiar with this condition that you can talk to when you want to, or when you get to that point of comfort. So yeah, I know there's a few
Yeah.
different things, but yeah, I don't know. I just want people to be encouraged. Like you're not alone. You're not by yourself in this, and it's okay to isolate sometimes too. If you need to
Mhm.
take that time to, listen to yourself, do that too, because it's all necessary.
Yeah, that's good. Well, thank you so much, Jawan. This has been such a good conversation that was much needed, but so inspiring too. And I love what you're doing in the community and helping so many people just learn how to be themselves. I think that is so
Yeah,
important, being able to have that community where you can connect and grow, but being so bold and sharing your story, I think is so commendable and so inspiring for so many people. So thank you so much for sharing that.
man, Janelle, thank you. So it's been a pleasure for me. I really enjoyed this conversation, and thank you again for doing what you do. And like I said, you being the biologics coordinator, like you remind me so much of my biologic coordinator at my office. And it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Keep doing what you're doing. You're helping so many people
Thank you.
just by amplifying their voices and just giving a platform to share your story. It's like I said, we didn't have these things years ago. So thank you again.
Yeah.
And we're doing great work out here, and I'm proud to see it.
Yes, me too. All right. Well, take care. We'll stay connected.
All right.
All
Take care.
right.
Thanks for spending a few minutes with me and listening to That's Derm Good. You can expect new episodes of That's Derm Good every week. The podcast is available on your favorite app, including where you're listening right now. Subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a new episode. Bye.